Dr. Alveda King, the niece of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She's a pastoral associate, director of African American outreach at Priests for Life and Gospel of Life Ministries. Hello, doctor. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Can you hear me? I'm in D.C.
Yes,
Some of these old buildings are kind of, the signals are different.
No, we hear you. We hear you fine. We hear you fine.
Okay,
I'm thrilled to be talking to you. Your reaction when you heard the verdicts?
Well, my emotions, of course, were mixed because, I'm a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, too. So I was grateful for justice. I knew he should be prosecuted. I was glad that a jury of his own peers who pretty much were pro-abortion or at least neutral to the abortion issue were able to do something that showed that their consciences were served. So I was glad to see justice accomplished. I am honestly telling you, I'm not desiring the death penalty. I'm praying because, he goes to jail. He's 72. Maybe somebody will drop a Bible on his head or in his lap while he's there. And at least he can pray, I mean that sincerely.
I know.
You don't want to lose people totally forever in eternity, But I'm glad he's prosecuted. There are many gospels across America. He's not the exception. He is the rule. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, no, I understand that. Now, you're going to be part of a movement that's already taking shape, and that is going to Washington to join others like Star Parker of CURE and Day Gardner of the National Black Profile Union and black ministers from around the country to lobby Congress and try to get hearings and laws passed that will protect the unborn and protect the born and protect women.
I am on Capitol Hill right now with Star, Day, Catherine, some of the men leaders in our movement. There are legislative aides here from members of Congress. We're demanding hearings. We are very serious that we want these clinics across this country investigated. We want real regulations, and we are not going to buy what NARAL, Planned Parenthood, and all of them are saying. They're saying that gospel is a throwback, and the problem with abortions are there are not enough opportunities, and they're still too costly, and these regulations are restricting them. That's not true, because they've had 40 years of abortion, 56 million aborted babies. 33% of those are black. And so they've had 40 years to say that they were going to do safe, legal, and rare. 40 years later, abortion is not safe. Abortion is not rare. It is legal. And then they said they wanted to reduce poverty. Well, if 40 years of abortion, 56 million people was going to reduce poverty, why are people still poor today?
No, you ask a lot of provocative questions, and I ask the same questions alongside of you. Let me ask you this: The media coverage of this trial has been documented to be almost non-existent except for certain outlets. Certainly the networks, ABC, virtually blank, the NBC, all of them, very, very scant coverage at best. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm really grateful that Newsmax actually gave me a bully tick that helped me to get the message out enough to begin to force that mainstream media that was looking the other way to begin to take a look. And you've got those types of outlets, and we're very grateful for that. Also, the social networks, the tweets, the Facebook, the bloggers. As we continue to ask the hard questions and put the information out, the mainstream media basically was put to shame. And so initially, when that Gosnell trial started, the media section was virtually empty. On the days that I went there, towards the end, before the defense rested its case, the media section was absolutely filled. And so the media was forced out, and actually over in Huffington Post, and I think somebody in USA Today admitted that the reason they had not been covering the story was because they did not want to hurt the abortion lobby. They admitted that. And so now there is more coverage. We are grateful. And I just say that we've got to keep getting this word out.
Well, absolutely. And we're talking to Dr. Alveda King here on the Steve Malzberg Show, the niece of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a pastoral associate and director of African American outreach for Priests for Life. Even the New York Times, they covered the verdict and when it broke, and what did they say? And so many others in the media have done the same thing, that Dr. Gosnell was found guilty of killing fetuses.
They still try to use that word fetus, but during the trial, the defense attorney kept going back. He'd say baby, then he'd say fetus, then he'd say baby, and then he says whatever they are. But he kept coming back to saying baby, and now he's accusing the media for bringing it too much attention and calling what they wanted to call the fetuses the babies. But in the Latin, the translation of fetus in the Latin is still baby. So these are little baby human beings, and that was proved strongly enough. There was no reasonable doubt on those 3 murder cases and also that involuntary manslaughter case.
Have you ever heard, we've played the tapes of, there was a Planned Parenthood lobbyist down in Florida testifying before the Senate committee down there, and the senators asked, well, what if a baby is born alive? Because they're talking about a born alive protection bill as well in Florida. And this woman from Planned Parenthood, the lobbyist, she couldn't answer the most basic, common sense, human decency questions imaginable, like if the baby's breathing, if the baby's alive, don't you protect it? And she said, well, it'll be up to the doctor and the patient. And the senators they said, well, wouldn't the patient at that point be the baby that's breathing on the table? And she couldn't answer even that.
She refused to answer it. She couldn't hedge it.
Right.
So she finally refused to answer it. And there have been some other even more heinous reactions. Like one lady thought she was being compassionate at one of the abortion clinics and says, well, if you deliver the baby in Lila Rose's expose, that Lila Rose did an undercover thing to ask those same questions about babies.
Yep. We had Lila on last week, yeah.
So she thought, the lady says, well, we'll just give you a lot of sheets and you can wrap it up in a sheet. Now, how traumatic is that to a mother who shouldn't be having an abortion in the first place? She's traumatized, her body's messed up, she's in pain, she's frightened, and then she has to take the baby and wrap it up in a bunch of sheets. What in the world? And there's a new documentary, Voice of John, and it talks about a baby who was dying after it was born alive and aborted. Jill Stanek, the popular pro-life nurse, had to leave Christ Mercy Hospital, where she was a nurse, because she refused to do that and abort the babies and leave them there dying. She just said no. So there's so much of that, but this is coming to the top. And here with these African-American leaders, as I say, hosted by Star Parker, there are quite a few of us here, over 50 of us. And our numbers are much stronger than that. That's just a representation. Each of us can bring many to the table. As a matter of fact, my Facebook and blogs and stuff cover over 20,000 people. So
well, I know.
all bring groups. Yeah.
I know, Doctor, you don't like to get political or partisan, and you shouldn't in your capacity. But you see, to me, the media will not give the proper attention or the same amount of attention that they would give to black ministers and black people of faith who came to Capitol Hill to argue for a woman's so-called right to choose. And to me, the Republicans miss a great opportunity, because if they don't acquiesce to you and do hold hearings, at least in the House where they are in control, they're missing a great opportunity, because the African-American community is represented by you and the people who will be with you. As a matter of fact, America is represented by you and the people who will be with you, because anyone who knows about this, who has an ounce of decency, would find this outrageous.
Well, the jury, back again to that jury, they did. And they were pro-abortion, pro-choice, or neutral on the issue. And they found that this was absolutely outrageous. Kevin Burke over at Rachel's Vineyard and Priests for Life, we're associates at Priests for Life, when we were at court, he said, the jury looks as though they're not responding. He said, but they're traumatized. They're in a daze. They can't believe what they're seeing. And that is what we discovered when these verdicts came in.
Yeah, and they had to see all the pictures and, the body parts in the freezer.
Oh,
it's just, he's a beast. Only a beast could do something like that. Doctor, thank you so very much. It's a pleasure and an honor to talk to you again.
Thank you so much, too, and we'll talk again.
Okay.
Have a good one.
I hope so.
Bye.
Thank you. That's Dr. Alveda King, ladies and gentlemen, the niece of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.